everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. And it is Christmas Eve, which means tomorrow is Christmas, which means this reading vlog is basically going to be focused on some Christmas books. Before I get into the Christmas books I want to read that are on my TBR, I will mention that I'm going to finish The Final Battle. I'm like halfway through it. I really want to finish it. This is the 6th book in the 2nd arc of 6 of the Survivor series, so you can kind of see how, with being halfway through it, I don't want to put it down for a weekend, so I will finish this first, and then I will dive into my Christmassy books. So my options are, I have A Shiloh Christmas by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, which is the 4th book in the Shiloh Quartet. I've never read this before. When I was younger, Shiloh was one of my favorite series, and I realized once I got back into reading that there was actually a 4th book in the series that was released way after I stopped paying attention to it. So I've never read it. Again, it is Christmas time, and I'm hoping it gives me some very cute Christmassy vibes with Shiloh, everyone's favorite beagle. I have The No Good 9, which is following a group of kids who are very naughty, and they're going to burn down Santa's toy factory. So I'm very curious to see if they end up on the naughty list for this, or if they manage to redeem themselves by the end of the book. I've got Mr. Dickens and His Carol. I don't know if this is specifically a Christmas book, but let's see. It says, Charles Dickens is not feeling the Christmas spirit. His newest book is an utter flop. The critics have turned against him. Relatives near and far hound him for money. But when his publishers try to blackmail him into writing a Christmas book, he refuses, and a serious bout of writer's block sets in. Seeking inspiration on long night walks through London, Dickens meets the mysterious Eleanor Lovejoy, who might be just the muse he needs. As Dickens' deadlines and creditors close in, Eleanor propels him on a Scrooge-like journey that tests everything he believes about generosity, friendship, ambition, and love. The story he writes will change Christmas forever. So I think it is going to be Christmassy, and this is probably the least likely book I'm going to get to, but we'll see. And then the main book I want to read, which I will be doing this on Christmas, is The Christmasaurus and the Winter Witch by Tom Fletcher. So this is the sequel to The Christmasaurus. I love The Christmasaurus. I have been saving this book specifically for Christmas this year. I am so excited to get to it and to dive back into this world and see what antics William Trundle gets up to in this one. So this will be a Christmas Day read. I had really hoped that I could read the 3rd book in the Strange Worlds Travel Agency series before Christmas, because I own the Christmas novella, and because of when it's published, I'm going to assume it chronologically takes place after the events of the 3rd book, so I can't read that. So if I somehow manage to get through all of this, plus The Final Battle, I will try to read Secrets of the Storm Forest so that I can read the novella, but I highly doubt that I will be able to read all of that in 48 hours. So yeah, we're going to start by finishing The Final Battle, and then I'm going to dive into my Christmassy TBR, and we'll see what I can get through. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing a Santa hat. It's a wrestling-themed one. It says Dirty Deeds and has a DA on it for Dean Ambrose, who is currently AEW's Jon Moxley. That was his ring name when he was in WWE, and I only have one Santa hat besides this, and it's a Seth Rollins one. So they're both wrestling-related, so I went with Dean because Jon/Dean is one of my favorite wrestlers. So enjoy my wrestling-themed Christmas hat. I'll be wearing it in all of my clips I film. But yeah, I will check back in with you tomorrow morning to let you know what I read, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to go read, and I'll see you all in a little while. It's now the 26th, which means Christmas is over. I had planned to try to check in yesterday, and it just didn't happen. Christmas Eve was a lot busier than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't leave the house this weekend, which was the main goal. I didn't want to go anywhere. But all of the bags you would have seen in the previous clip are all bags for the little ones in my life, and I spent most of Christmas Eve putting those together and then wrapping the handful of presents that wouldn't fit in the bags. So that ate up a lot of my time, and then once I got done with that, all I really wanted to do was kind of read, so that's what I did. Then Christmas Day itself was quite weird. I think it's the first Christmas I've ever had where I didn't have anything to open up on Christmas, like I had no presents, so it gave it a bit of a weird vibe, and obviously one of my favorite things on Christmas used to be watching the little ones open their presents, and since I have agoraphobia and germophobia, I don't actually get to see the kids open their presents anymore, so it kind of takes a lot of the fun out of it. And actually, I ended up finding out that one of the little ones was sick, so it's just as well I wasn't seeing them, because whatever it is they have, I don't want it. So it made Christmas really weird, but it did give me plenty of time to read. So the one book on my weekend TBR that was not Christmas themed was The Final Battle. I wanted to finish this because I was partway through it, and I did. I ended up giving this book 4.25 stars. This is the 6th and final book in the second arc of 6 in the Survivor series. And this means I officially finished the second of the 5 series I wanted to continue in 2022. So thumbs up for that. I think I still have a handful of novellas, but I've completed both of the main arcs, so I'm counting that as a win. I really liked how this arc wrapped up, and like the first arc, it got better as it went along. This book in no way played out the way I thought it was going to, so I really liked that aspect of it, as I kind of went into it expecting certain things to happen, and then it got completely turned on its head, and they didn't happen at all the way I thought they were going to. I really hope we get more books in the Survivor series and that we get a third arc, because I've actually really grown attached to these characters, and I would love to see what the Aarons would come up with for a third arc. So this was the first book I finished. Then I finished The No Good 9, and I gave this 1 star. I hated it. This is about 9 kids who end up on Santa's naughty list, and they basically decide that they're going to go to the North Pole and confront him. And on paper, it sounds like it would be a really, really fun book to read. However, this is marketed as a middle grade, and there's a lot of content in there that I would not want a middle grader to read. So you have the 9 kids who have names, but the reason they're on the naughty list is because they're a liar, a know-it-all, a brat, a hooligan, a rude, a cruel, a vainglorious, a goody two-shoes, and a thief. And some of those things are not things I would want to encourage the little ones in my life to be. Like, I definitely wouldn't want to encourage them to be, like, cruel. And there's just a lot of violence in here that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know, it didn't work for me. It doesn't feel like the kind of book I would want to pass on to my little ones. I didn't really like any of the No Good 9, which also made it hard because, like, how are you supposed to be reading for them if you don't like them? This just really wasn't a book for me, and it actually took place after Christmas, so it didn't really have the Christmas vibes I was looking for anyways. So this was definitely a no for me, and probably one of my least favorite books I've read this year. So, oh well. I also think I was reading this for red and white on the cover for Merry Bookmas. I don't think it was on any of the other TBRs, so that was another reason why I finished it, just didn't DNF it. Then I read Mr. Dickens and His Carol by Samantha Silva, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. So this is essentially following Charles Dickens as he writes his famous Christmas Carol, and I thought it was fascinating. So it said in the author's note, let me see. It's a work of fiction, and the author said it is spun out of threads from the lives of Charles Dickens, his family and friends, and even a nemesis or two. It is meant as a playful reimagining of how the second most beloved Christmas story in the world after the original came to be. I twisted, embellished, and reordered the facts to serve the plot. Nearly all the characters are based on real people, and the best lines, to be sure, are things they actually said. So it's based on his real life, the real person, but obviously it takes liberties. And I really enjoyed the way the author kind of told the story of her imagining of how Charles Dickens wrote his famous Christmas Carol. There were lots of twists and turns in this I was not expecting. It is leading up to Christmas, so there were some Christmassy vibes, and obviously I really enjoyed, like I said, her showing how Charles Dickens came up with A Christmas Carol. And yeah, I definitely can see me rereading this at future Christmases, and it was just a really, really enjoyable read, and I'm glad I convinced myself to get to it and made it a priority this weekend, because originally it was not something I was planning on getting to, so I'm glad I decided to pick it up. Then, on Christmas Day, I read The Christmasaurus and the Winter Witch. I was purposely saving this for Christmas from the moment I got it, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but I still thought it was a really enjoyable read. In this series, we're following a boy named William, and in the first book, he wishes for a dinosaur for Christmas and ends up with the Christmasaurus. In this book, we're following him as he meets the Winter Witch. I still really like the whimsy and magic of this series. I like the way that Tom Fletcher writes his stories. I like the humor that are in these stories, and they're just really quick, fun reads. I liked the Christmas vibes, and I liked getting to meet the Winter Witch and seeing the twists and turns that came along with her. Definitely hope to have the third book in my hands by next Christmas, because these are the perfect Christmas reads that I have been looking for. And yeah, at some point I will definitely be getting copies for the little ones in my life, because they're just amazing. And it's another brilliant book by Tom Fletcher. And then the last book I read this weekend was A Shiloh Christmas. So this is the fourth and final book in the Shiloh Quartet, and it came out years after the original trilogy, so I've never read it. I read the original trilogy a lot as a child, and it was one of my favorite series, and I absolutely fell in love with Shiloh. The series is about this boy named Marty who ends up rescuing this beagle named Shiloh from his abusive owner, Judge Travers, and each book kind of expands on the last one, and this one is set at Christmas time, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I ended up giving this book 3.75 stars, and part of the reason I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did is it became very clear very early on in the book that religion was going to be a big part of this, and usually I don't like books with a lot of religion talk in them, but I liked the way this one kind of played out, and I can't really say too much else without spoiling it, but I thought it was really well done in here, and I liked getting to see the latest adventures of Marty and Shiloh. This one also had some nice little Christmas vibes, and I'm very excited to be able to say that I have finally read the entire Shiloh Quartet and check another series off my list. So that's it. I actually got through all 4 books I wanted to get through for my Christmas-themed weekend, along with The Final Battle, which I finished. So thumbs up for that. Very happy to have managed to get through all of my books and have a kind of Christmassy reading weekend, even if I didn't love everything that I read. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me Christmas emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!